Hello, I'm Sarah Grady Ackerman. Talking About Movies with Jesus is the latest work by David Kirby. It's a 2011 Florida Book Awards silver medalist for poetry, and the author is here with me to tell us about this award winner. Congratulations, David.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, well, first off, you're an English professor at Florida State University.
I am.
And you've written several books and received a lot of awards.
A few of those, yeah.
But just tell us what it means to you to be honored by the Florida Book Awards.
Well, you know, when I was a kid, I lived in Louisiana, and Florida was this sort of exotic place that my parents would take us to for vacations. And then when I was a young man in high school, you know, I would come over with my boys and look for trouble that we never really found. So Florida has always been kind of a dream state. And therefore, to be recognized by Florida, you know, it's, you know, I feel as though I'm being kind of, you know, welcomed into the land of my dreams.
Oh, wow. That's a good way of putting it. Well, okay, we've got to get to the title of your book. It's definitely an attention getter. How did you come up with Talking About Movies with Jesus?
Well, a few years ago I had a sabbatical, and my wife Barbara Hamby, who's also a poet, writes big poems, is a big thinker, and she said, you know, if we stay in Tallahassee, we're just going to do all the regular stuff, so let's go to Paris and take our sabbatical there. So, you know, we got all the credit and loans and money we could scrape together, because it's a pretty expensive city. But one of the things that anybody can do over there is just go out and walk. And you know, we walked in the Luxembourg Gardens almost every day, and there are a lot of statues there, religious statues in one kind or another. And I just began to think, you know, what would it be like to be walking along with Jesus, and what would my Jesus be?
Wow. And so talk about these poems. Just kind of give us an idea of what readers will find. Sure.
Well, what they're going to find is a pretty all-encompassing approach. I mean, nothing's off limits. Anything can go into that book. Anything can go into a poem. You know, Freud said that our dreams aren't determined by something; they're over-determined. And I feel the same way about poetry. You know, poetry has a particular poem has not one or two causes behind it, but 6 or 7 or 8. And that sort of went along with the religious theme that I had, because, you know, religion touches on everything. Religion touches on you know, diet, you know, gosh, hairdress for women, you know, belief in the afterlife, history, art. You know, it's all there. So, you know, the book is it's a kind of a kitchen sink approach.
Yeah, I mean, just from the reviews that I've read, I mean, people have just fallen in love with your writing style, your wit, your use of imagery. I found myself just glued to the page thinking, what is he going to say next? Because you just pull in so many different things. I mean, how do you come up with so many different ways of expressing your ideas?
Well, you know, the first, when people think poetry, they think of it, you know, maybe as an expression of some kind of personal angst or something sort of large scale and theological. But I always think pleasure first. You know, it should be fun, and then once the reader is hooked, once the reader's having a good time, then you can say whatever you want. So you know, I write a lot about music. I'm a music journalist on the side, and you know, ever since I was a little kid growing up, I would go and, you know, kind of worm my way into the front row and watch these people like Little Richard and Chuck Berry, you know, and Fats Domino, you know, charm audiences. And you know, I'm not a particularly musical person. I can crank my way through a few guitar songs, but I thought, you know, that's what entertainment is. That's what being a showman is. You know, hooking people and you know, making your pitch and having them want more.
Right. Well, now you just mentioned Little Richard. One of your poems mentions everything from Little Richard to Kanye West. And it made me think about what kind of feedback are you getting from your students at FSU? I mean, I bet they think this is pretty cool that you're even mentioning Kanye West in your poems.
They're a little bit astonished that I know who Kanye West is, but you know, I couldn't do one of his numbers off the top of my head, but I do read the New York Times, and that's what I encourage them to do, and say, you know, nothing's off limits. You know, poetry's better when it has more in it. You know, a good poem, a good book of poems, should be action-packed, kind of like an old-style Western. You know, it should be, you know, blazing 6 guns and arrows flying through the air.
Well, I think that's what you achieved. Well,
I hope so.
Thank you so much, and again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
The Florida Book Awards are presented annually to recognize, honor, and celebrate the best Florida literature. The program is coordinated by the Florida State University Libraries and co-sponsored by these groups that promote books by and for all Floridians.